Hi everyone. In this episode of Mentoring and Coaching with MCorp, I'm going to show you how to be a better salesperson and increase sales of your product or service. If sales and selling is a problem for you, then please stay tuned to learn some techniques that can give you the confidence to become a better salesperson. This is the training that I use to mentor and coach SMMEs, either on a one-to-one or group setting. In this episode, we will look at marketing briefly and then proceed to sales, which is one-to-one selling or person-to-person selling. In the next two episodes, I will follow up with sales, but look at tenders and pitching, which is also a form of selling. Tenders and RFQs are a form of selling, but it's all done via reading and writing, which may be paper or electronic. Pitching is also a form of selling, but it is one person talking to many people without much interaction. As I have said, we will start briefly with marketing because you cannot do sales without analyzing the market first. You shouldn't decide to start selling a product or service without first determining if there is a need for it in the market. If there is no need, then there is no sales and hence no income for the business. When one talks about marketing, one usually refers to the various theories in marketing, such as 4Ps, Porter's 5 Forces, Pastel, and SWOT analysis. These are usually covered in the business plan, which one does when one starts a business. In episode 2, the marketing plan, I have went over these marketing theories briefly. The marketing plan is one of the key activities that need to be done as it helps identify the target market. You can refer back to the episode 2 to see how the marketing plan is done. I have followed a systematic process in making these videos in that I started with strategy, then did the marketing plan to identify the market, and followed by finance, which ensured that the pricing was correct before you can go out to sell. So once you've done the marketing plan, what happens next? You can't just put the marketing plan away and expect business to go well. You need to implement the marketing plan. So now that we've done all the paper activities, it's time to get out there, sell, and earn an income. You know the product or service best, thus making you the best salesperson for now. Which brings up the question, how do you feel about sales and selling? Remember, the aim as a business owner will be for you to focus on the overall management, such as operations, marketing, sales, financials, and HR. The actual technical work will be delegated so that you work on your business and not in your business. But for now, the role of selling falls to you in order to get the business off the ground. Let's look at what exactly does the term selling refer to. Selling is actually the communication of information to persuade a prospective customer to buy something that satisfies that individual's needs. Selling involves a person helping another person. The salesperson works with the prospects or customers, the target market, to examine their needs, provide information, suggest a product to meet their needs, and provide after-sales service to ensure long-term satisfaction. Let's look a little bit more in detail at what the salesperson's job is. So the salesperson's job is to create new customers, to sell more to the present customers, to build long-term relationship with their customers, to understand the needs of the customers, provide solutions to customers' problems, provide services to customers, to help the customer resell the products to their customers, to help the customers use the products after the purchase, to get feedback from them, to build goodwill with them, and ultimately to provide the company with marketing information. So whatever the salesperson learns out there in the field about what customers wants and needs, they need to bring it back to the company to help improve the product or the service. The traits of a good salesperson. A salesperson should care about their customers. They should be confident, resilient, always aware, be a good listener, be persistent, honest, friendly, patient, and optimistic. So now that we know what selling is and what the salesperson does, the question still remains, how do we go about it? There is a lot of training out there for SMMEs on a variety of topics, but very little on how to do the key part of business, make sales, and earn a revenue. It is a skill that can be learnt and mastered by practicing the following 10-step process. The first step is prospecting. So prospecting is looking at who you're going to contact, the sales pipeline, listing all the potential target markets that you have, asking for referrals, going onto Google Maps and seeing who the businesses are in your area that you can go and target. Once you have a list of people you would like to contact, the next step is pre-approach, where you contact the people and set up an appointment. This may be necessary if you are going to see the manager of a shop or the manager of a restaurant. But if you are selling freely in a market, then there's no need to do the pre-approach. The third step is the approach. So you are probably wondering what these acronyms SPIN and FAB mean. These are acronyms you can use to remember what needs to be done in case you forget everything else that you hear here. Let's go to step 3, the approach, and see how it should be handled. Now you would recall that selling involves understanding the needs of the customers. So SPIN is what we use to ask questions to determine the prospect's needs. So in your approach, you do not mention your service, what you are selling, what you are offering. In the approach, you just try to understand what the customer's needs are. Right? So questions can be used to obtain information from the prospect. The questions allow you to develop a two-way communication. So you allow the customer to speak. You increase the participation of the customer. And in doing that, you develop a relationship with the customer as compared to just one way spewing off all the stuff about your product or service. Allowing the customer to talk helps build a relationship. So it becomes easier to sell and it becomes harder for the customer to say no. Right? So you can use non-directive questions like who, what, where, when, how, why. Never phrase a direct question as a direct negative. So never ask a question where the answer is no. Always ask questions that engage the customer, that lets them talk, lets them express themselves, basically. Right? So SPIN actually stands for the S for situation questions. That's general situation questions you can ask as related to your service. So whatever question you ask should be related to what you are selling or offering. The problem questions you can ask about specific problems, dissatisfactions, or difficulties that the prospect may have relative to your situation question. The implication questions, you can ask about the implications of the prospect's problems and how it affects them. And then the need payoff questions. Here you can ask if the prospect has an explicit need. You might notice that in all professions, you will always be asked first what your needs are before anything is recommended to you. Example is a doctor. He will examine you, run tests, etc. before prescribing a treatment. Even a lawyer will want to know what the issue is and what resolve you are looking for before they prescribe whether they're going to sue the person or whatever. Even mentors do a gap analysis to see what the mentees need before the mentorship commences. So why do salespeople just try to sell you something without determining if you have a need for it? So this is what SPIN is actually doing. SPIN is asking you questions before trying to prescribe the sale. Personally, I don't let anyone sell to me without determining my needs first. I know this sounded a bit harsh, but hopefully serves as a reminder for you not to do it either. So now that we have an idea of the buyer's needs, we can present our product or service. Here we use the FAB acronym. the fabulous approach to buyer need satisfaction. So the FAB stands for features, advantages, and benefits. So the features, here you show the characteristics of the product or service you are selling. The advantage, you explain the advantages that the product will have and how it can be used to help the buyer. The benefits, you lead into the favorable result the customer receives from the product. And then you close. You check the attitude of the buyer and always ask for the sale. That is something most salespeople never do. They never ask for the sale, right? So we go back to the selling process and note that step 5 to 9 is an iterative approach, in that there will be many objections raised and you'll have to meet it and end by asking for the sale. Always ask for the sale, because if you don't, the customer can just walk away. This process will not always guarantee a sale, but if the customer showed interest, you can ask for their details and follow up if the sale is not successful using this process. So there are different types of customers out there, and this slide shows just a few personality types that you may encounter and how to deal with them. It's called the psychological issues on buying. Right? So there are many types of people out there. I've just narrowed it down to 4 for the sake of time. So first up is the thinker style. These are detailed, neat, fact-orientated people. With them, you need to pre-plan your presentation. You need to use facts and supporting data. Be precise, follow logical and orderly manner. Even if they say no, with them you got to say, think it over and I'll get back to you tomorrow, because they are the thinker style. So they may not be immediately able to buy from you because they need to think it over. So even if you're at a flea market selling and this type of person comes to you, they may not be decisive enough to buy. They will need to think. So with them, you probably need to give them your details or follow up with them, right? The intuitive style, these are future-orientated, innovators, original, creative types of people. With them, you got to tie in the presentation with their bigger picture and the overview of their objectives. So you could say, I know you have a lot to do. Who can I contact to get this off the ground? Because these people may talk a big game. You know, they have ideas, they talk about the future, but it's very hard to tie them down. So with them, you got to say, you know, they normally would have someone who would actually do the work. So you got to get a contact information of someone in order to get that going. The feeler style, these are people-orientated, emotional, sensitive to people's needs. So these are the soft people, right? Here you can highlight the impact on people that the service will have. You can engage in small talk. And with them, you could say, okay, if there's no objections, let's set it up for next week. Even if they say no, the key with the feeler is to push the decision, because these people are soft and it's easier for them to say yes. So you got to push them. The sensor style, these are action-orientated, decisive, high energy levels. They deal with the world using sensors. They place a high value on action. So with them, you need to be brief and get to the point. You can use graphs, models, and samples. With them, you say, let's move now. Let's set this up now. Right? So these are just types of people you may encounter when selling. And it's good to have an idea of the type of person you're dealing with in order to manage the sale and the sales process. So this session normally ends with a workshop where we practice the spin and the fab. So we're going to do an example of the spin and fab using the example of ABC Clothing from the previous episodes. So this business sews and sells dresses for 350 Rand. Let's say this business owner is at a flea market selling these dresses and a potential customer stops by to have a look. Some of the questions that can be asked to engage in communication and to determine their needs are, do you like wearing dresses? How often do you wear dresses? What style of dresses do you prefer? What price range do you prefer? Do you use local imported dresses? What fabric colors and designs do you like? Where do you usually shop? Do you like good quality, or are you happy with the lower quality? So these are just situation questions that you could ask just to gauge the customer's needs. Now remember, in the previous slides, um, you also need to determine the type of buyer you're dealing with. Then you could ask problem questions. Based on the answers the customer gives you, do you have any issues or problems with where you currently shop? Are you happy with the quality and prices? Implication questions could be about the prospect's problems. Things like everyone is wearing the same dress. Do you like exclusive designs? And then the need payoff question could be if they have any explicit need, is, price, quality, exclusivity. What do they really need? Right? So once you've asked these questions, of course, all of these questions need not be asked. You have to evaluate the situation and the person you're dealing with, and perhaps what they're wearing. And this will guide the type of questions you ask. Right? So don't ask all of the questions. You don't want your customer to feel like they're being interrogated. They will become suspicious if you tend to ask too many questions. So once the needs are assessed, you can then present using the FAB acronym. So let's say in the engagement with the customer, they were not happy with the dresses sold at the retail stores, as it was poor quality, imported, sold at high prices, and maybe it never fits properly. Right? So this is what you determined in the questions. So now when you present your product, you've got to address those needs. So as a feature, you could say these dresses are locally made by trained people in the community using quality fabrics, and they sold at a competitive price of only 350 Rand. The advantages: the dresses are affordable, it's of high quality, they fit perfectly, and it's long lasting. Even after many washes, it still looks new. The benefits would be it's sewn locally and 3 jobs have been created. So buying these dresses uplifts and benefits our local economy and not some country elsewhere where these imported dresses are coming from. So please, now you got to ask for the sale. So you say, please come and try one of them. What size can I get you? What color do you like? So you see, you're asking for the sale. You've got to finish off the fab by asking the customer, what color can I get you? How many can I get you? What size would you like to try? Right? So sometimes the customer would be like, okay, I'll try this size and this color. But sometimes they could be objections. They could be, I don't have money, or I don't have cash, or, I'm not sure, I have a lot of dresses already, so I don't need another one. But the mere fact that they did come and they did look meant that they were interested, right? So you need to meet this objection. So you could say, these dresses are only 350 Rand. You can make an electronic payment. You can use your credit card. I have options available. So please come and try a dress on. I'd love to see how it looks on you. So you asked for the sale. Then the next objection could be, I'll come back next week, or something like that. And then you could reply, we may not be here next week. You won't get this opportunity again. Take a dress now and see. You will love wearing it and you'll want to buy more. Even your friends will admire it and ask you, where did you get this from? Because there's nothing like it in the stores. So please come and try it and buy one at least. So you see, this is an iterative approach where there's objections. You got to meet the objections. You got to close. You got to ask for the sale. Similarly, if you went to a retail store and you wanted to speak to the manager in order for them to sell the dresses for you, the questions will be different in order to determine their needs. Examples would be, do you sell these types of dresses? Where do you source dresses from? What stock levels do you require? How does a small business get to sell their products here? So these are questions you can ask to determine their needs. Right? So please note that not all people are decisive and they will not make an immediate purchase. But this process is just to help you to gain more confidence in doing a sale. It's not easy to change the habit of doing something, and sales is no exception. Despite learning these techniques of identifying needs, most SMMEs still revert back to presenting their product first. So it's therefore imperative to practice this technique until it becomes second nature. You can write down potential objections from customers and prepare and learn responses to enable you to be more confident and knowledgeable about the product and market. So it is for this reason that we do the target market and competitor analysis in the marketing plan. It's to help prepare for the objections, for information about the competitors that may come up, so that you are well aware of what's happening in the market and in the industry. In order to be a better salesperson, you have to practice. If you encounter objections and you don't know what to say, write down those objections, come back and look for potential answers for the next time. You can even speak to your mentor and coach to help you overcome these hurdles. Some of the mentees even record the sales interactions and then they play it and they see, how could I have improved next time? How can I do better than next time? So it's all about practice here, because this is now a new habit that you're going to start. So you've got to practice it in order to perfect it. We come to the end of this episode. I hope you found it informative and I hope that it was helpful to you. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.